Ahoy, ahoy! So happy Super Bowl Sunday if you celebrate. And happy getting close to Valentine's coming this Friday. And that is what we're going to be talking about for today's coaching call. And the overarching topic is would you coach your Valentine? But more specifically and more broadly, so many coaches start their coaching career by coaching family, friends, peers, networks of connected people who already have pre-existing relationships. Like, most of us can't avoid that. Some of us do. Some of us manage to get lucky and start either professionally with another gym or through some operation. But a lot of us start coaching friends. So how do we manage that? How do we do that? If you did happen to have a good experience or a bad one coaching your spouse, family, friend, significant other, I'd love to hear about it. But we have a couple of general guidelines we help people with and that we recommend when it comes to coaching these pre-existing relationships, coaching your Valentines. And the first is, what is the context, what is the scope of the coaching? Like the first time you coach someone, like let's say your spouse, probably not like an ongoing, steady relationship where you are constantly prescribing training and telling them what to do and all up on how they move. Oftentimes, setting a clear scope of training, like, hey, would you help me practice learning the squat? Would you help me practice, workshop my intro to training process? And from Greg, that never worked for me. She was uncoachable, right? We'll talk about that here in a second. Two, so setting a smaller scope and making it part of a relational structure, like either you're doing me a favor or we're doing this together, often helps a lot more in coaching these pre-existing social relationships. I remember it can actually be really useful to you as a coach. I was with my partner and I was just trying to get videos of the teaching progression for deadlifts, squats, presses, bench. And so we were just going to go to the gym. It was going to take about an hour. And coaching my Valentine, I learned that, wow, that was not an effective way to go about it. We'll talk about why here in a second. But imagine if I had tried to take that and turn it into an extended coaching relationship. Bad idea. So we like to keep the context. We like to keep the scope of the coaching practice small at first. The next, check yourself as you go. One thing that we find is a lot of people, especially beginners, they have a me voice and a coaching voice. Like, this is how I am when I am on the platform. And this is how I am when I am performing, because in some ways it is a relationship performance on the platform with clients. And when you're working with someone who knows you off the platform, primarily off the platform, that can be kind of a big shock, and it can also invite some friction. So one thing is, use that as a learning opportunity. If your spouse, kind of pokes fun at you a little bit, like mine did, for your coaching voice, use that as an opportunity to become aware of the fact that you have one, the fact that you bring one that's a little bit different from you. And maybe if you're going to work with people you have that established relationship with, try to avoid it. Try to settle into a more comfortable voice that's you and me, even if we're doing the same thing. But be CJ, be Matt, be Antoine, be you the way you always are with that person may help, and it may actually help as a skill builder for one of the most common things that new coaches do, which is they make it into a TED Talk almost, like they get overwhelmed and it doesn't come across as natural or comfortable. And then the third, so 1, 2, 3, 3 tips. The third thing that we always advise when it comes to working with pre-existing relationships, check yourself as you go. Is this worth the risk? Because the real question comes what is actually the risk of coaching someone you know? And it's a kind of damage to the reputation and a damage to the relationship that you had prior to the coaching experience. If your coaching voice is more authoritative and that's not how you normally act, if you're establishing an ongoing relationship and you're a bit of a hard ass when it comes to accountability, when it comes to checking to see if they're doing the thing, that can cause reputational and personal damage. So one thing I always say, and this is something we should always be doing as coaches in general, is check for signs of frustration, check for signs of resentment, check for signs of friction outside of that coaching moment. outside of the coaching relationship, like leaking into your everyday life. And if you start to notice that, that might be the time to go, you know what? Maybe we're not a good fit, especially if you're not in a paying relationship, like they're helping you or something like that. So when it comes to coaching your Valentine, kind of our top 3 tips that we provide our coaches. First, keep the scope clear and preferably narrow. Keep it closer to make it easier to hold it within its own box. 2, check your coaching voice. Check who you are when you're on the platform, vice who you are when you are with these people, when you're with that individual. And then 3rd, kind of keep a running check. Is it worth the risk to you, to the relationship? I've had a mixed bag with this. Like, I've had great workouts with my now wife, like we were dating at the time, like CrossFit style workouts, because that was what I was doing. And leading the workout, providing some tips along the way, actually went really well. Trying to coach her as a barbell coach in a sustained kind of like an online coaching thing did not work at all. And so this is one of those things where you kind of have to tweak it within the relationship, within the person that you're with, in order to find something that works for you and for them, and to get out of it what it is that you need. One thing that we can kind of get locked up into is like, I know how good this is for me. I know how much this has changed my life. It's made me stronger, blah, blah, blah. And we want to see that in our friends and family. But just like clients, just like anyone else out there, not everyone else sees it our way. So sometimes we just have to back up and say, you know what? You know what matters most to you. You can still be my Valentine. So that was it for today. Should you coach your Valentines? How do you coach your Valentines? Keeping it tight for today's coaching call. The whole recording will be up on our YouTube page, highlights up on the Barbell Logic Academy Instagram channel, and right now you can get Online Coaching Excellence and Conditioning as our 2 newest course offerings within the Barbell Academy. Or, of course, if you want to learn how to coach your spouse, your significant other, family, friends, like to get that basic line on the teaching progressions on novice coaching, check out Coaching 101. Go to the Barbell Logic Academy Instagram page and you can find the link to Coaching 101, because that's exactly what it's for. How to, with empathy and with compassion, teach novices to training so that we can get off the ground, get rolling as coaches, and helping people get stronger and fitter. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me. You can message the Barbell Logic Academy Instagram channel. You can message my Instagram personally. That's CJ Gocher. And of course, if you are already an Academy student, you know how to find me in the Slack channel. Just DM me directly and you got me there. And thank you, Greg. It has been a pleasure. I'll catch you next week.